So we're to have the love of God in the Spirit. This is what we have coming against us. Nothing is being embattled like the heart. Nothing. Because it is the first thing. You will be known by your love. People will know you by your love. So do not think for a moment the enemy does not know exactly what to attack, because we will be known by our love. So if we don't love, we will not be known. We'll just be known for our fighting. Hey, listen, here's what's happening out there. People are going, you know why I do not want to receive the gospel? Because I am scared to death I will turn out like you. I'm going to tell you something. I hate to admit to this, and what I'm about to say is fleshly. This is in my flesh, not of the Spirit. But I'm going to tell you that there are people I probably line up with close doctrinally that make me want to disagree with him, because I do not want to be counted in their camp. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? I find you so hateful that I'm scared to be counted among you. Because the Gospel of John says in John chapter 5 that we can study the Scriptures diligently and not have the love of God in us. Love is our calling card over and over again. And it says lovers of self, money, pleasure, unloving, without love for what is good. There is a word in there that in the Greek means without family love. And it's the most interesting thing. That's one reason I want to bring it to your mind, is because it is so relevant today, because what it's talking about is the natural affection that family members would have, that there's truly an attack on that. 200 years ago, 100 years ago, would the first suspect in a homicide have been a spouse? It's the first one today. It's a family member. What happened? What happened that has somehow disjointed these bones, somehow ripped apart what would have been just the natural love and devotion of family? This is all sociological decline that he already told us about. So see, you and I are called to be remarkable in that, because we're not going to join in to the pride and boastfulness. And we're not going to join in to the harshness and brutality. And when we do, we're just going to ask for forgiveness, because it is our culture. It will be the temptation. And I'm going to tell you something. I still want to say that to this day, never minimize the power of an apology. I don't know, somehow we're forgetting. We're finding it very hard to just go, I'm sorry. It will not rip our tongues out. Just like, what? We're all so weak in our natural selves and all so frail. What is it we've got to lose with, God, I'm so sorry. Would you forgive me? So what did that do to us? What terrible thing did that do? That we're the kind that, man, I ask you to forgive me. I tell you, without Jesus, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know where I'd be. Reconcilable. Remarkable people, because we push against that trend. I just want to end with a couple of thoughts with you, kind of like a as you go kind of a thing that I have just learned from years of journeying with Jesus and journeying with people. One of the things that's so easy today to get really cynical, because we have such an eye on the public sphere of Christianity. And I want to tell you something. When you start to get cynical, almost always it will be tied to performance. In other words, it will be what we see performed out there or up in front of us. Whenever you're getting cynical, what works for me every single time when I start getting cynical with what's up front in the public sphere, then I go back to what's happening person to person, outside the public realm. Let me tell you something. God is doing so many things just with regular people that don't even know half of that is happening on social media. I mean, they're just like, God is still like somebody's just like, doesn't have a dime to pay their bills, and they're just pressing forward in prayer going, you promised me you were my provider, and I'm going to believe you based on Philippians chapter 4. You said you'd meet all my needs by the riches of Christ Jesus. And I said, Lord, I just entrust this to you. I entrust this to you. The people are still having like their neighbor just walking up and going, I don't know, I'm just think I'm supposed to give you a $50 bill. You know what I'm saying? Yo, that's still happening. That's still happening. People are still ministering to people with a pound cake. You can minister with a pound cake. I mean, that's still happening out there. You can still help a young mom that is just like, I mean, overrun with toddlers and a brand new baby. You can still drop her by some groceries. You can still say, you know what, better yet, you get out for a little while and I'm going to just stay with your kids. And then while she's gone, can you run the vacuum? Listen, this is ministry. This is ministry. Go back to where it's happening. Go back into the things that are happening in the local church where God is just still doing amazing things. I told this not too long ago. I don't think this sounds very impressive, and I don't know why it did this to me. I think because that one of the good things, well, let me just say this. Things happen in aging. You either get more tender or you get more bitter. You get more in old age. There's a lot more. There's like more skin and stuff. And there's just a lot. There's just more. So whatever you're given to, then there's more of it. So if you're kind of given to bitterness, you're going to get more bitter. That's the way it goes. But if that's not, if you get tender-hearted, well then, I used to wonder, why is it my grandmother and all her friends cry through all the hymns? I thought, it's not that sad. It's not that sad. Well, I do it now. I do know the whole time I'm singing, because it's just like, I've lived this. I'm not just singing it. I have lived this. Great is your faithfulness. I wouldn't have made it, Lord. I wouldn't have made it. You really did kick down a door for me. You really did scale a wall to get to me. You really did do it, Lord. You really did. These are not separate things for me. But a couple of months ago at our church, I've got some friends here that go to my same church. And I was sort of sitting toward the back, 'cause Keith and I were a little bit late. And at the end of every service, we always have altar time where where there's just prayer warriors up front and anybody can come up for prayer while we're singing. So we're just worshiping, and then people can go up for prayer. And so we were kind of getting toward the end of the song, but I could see that all the prayer warriors had people with them, but I see a couple, step out of their row like this and go up toward the front where you can't see from back there if everybody's taken. So it's an awkward moment of, oh, here we stand. I mean, like, we've waited the whole song as it is, and now we're just going to stand here awkwardly while everybody goes, they have trouble in their marriage. You know what I'm saying? Am I telling the truth, Bethany? Because this is just a way, it's so awkward. And so there's that, for any of us, because that's when I start, because that's when I'm on the team is when I can tell that there's not enough people or whatever. So I'm kind of leaning up like this to see what's going to happen. And I see a couple that I went to church with all the way back in my early 20s. And we had not been at the same church in probably 15 years by the time they came and joined our new church plant. But I see them automatically. They see this couple. I don't even see them talk to one another. I don't even see them discuss it. They're about Keith's and my age. They step out and they get that couple and they go take them over to the side. And I can just see them just like praying it down. And I thought, I couldn't, my lip just quivered so badly. I was overcome because I thought, this is the body of Christ, broken, poured out. But this is the body, just coming alongside one another. Man, I don't have everything, but what I've got, you can have. I'll tell you something as we close and then we sing together. I had a text dialogue with a really good friend of mine. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to read it to you. It's not, y'all, there's nothing sad about it. I don't even think you'll think it's powerful. I don't know. But it just really got me. I have a really good friend. In fact, she heads up events for us in our Lifeway women's events. Her name is Paige Green, and she's about 10 years younger than me, but you get to be a certain age, it doesn't matter anymore. That's one of the beautiful things. So we're really, really good friends. And so she has been working on her master's for a couple of years, and she's in her 50s. And I just have so much respect for that. I want to tell you something. This draws back to what we talked about in the first hour together, and she's a perfect example of it. Remember when we talked about not necessarily just unless God really does make it clear to you that we're surrendering to follow Him, not for some job or a particular activity or particular works. And there are times He says, He's called someone to preach. Yes, yes, yes. Call someone to be an event. Yes, yes, yes. But I'm saying overall, we're just like, follow Him. She's a perfect example. For many years, she worked for Samaritan's Purse. And then she came and she worked for Lifeway at women's events and is still working for Lifeway in women's events. But in the meantime, she's been getting her counseling degree. So she's getting her counseling master's, and she's been doing all of her internships. So she is in her early 50s, and she just finished up 15 months and 700 hours of internship. 700 hours in her early 50s. And so I texted her and I said, we call each other gal, and both of us do. We go gal, gal. We say it over and over. We go, well, gal, oh, gal. So I'm going to say this several times. I said, gal, I hope you let God give you a sense of accomplishment. This is in text. One of the things I have learned about fruit bearing in the scriptures is that it's not prideful to take joy in it. It is only prideful to take credit for it. Rejoice in what the Lord has accomplished through you. So she sends me a picture of a sunset as she drove away from the very last of 700 hours. So she said, he just painted the sky. And she sent it to me, and I wrote her back, and I said, gal, I think that was the Lord giving you a sense of His approval at the end of that long task. I said, God has done this over and over again at the end of tapings, and He did as recently as last week. I had a taping last week, and at the end of it, just so happened that it was the same way that He did it here, and that He just we just beheld the sky. And it was just like He went, watch this. It was just like ridiculous. It was almost more than you could bear to even look at. And I said, God has done this over and over again at the end of tapings, and did as recently as last week. Does something spectacular right at the end. And I told my coworkers at the taping that it is certainly not because the work is great or even special, because He's done it, and by that I mean has done something spectacular, too many times. And honestly, we're just not that consistent or good at it. Like He's done it over and over, and I'm not that good. You know what I'm talking about? It can't be because man was that good, because it's just not that great. But I think He says, I love you for trying so hard. And I often don't think it has as much to do with quality as Him purely gracing the intent of our hearts. He knows that we want to please Him. We, frail, weak things. What kindness. And both she goes, well, now I'm crying. And then I cried. We just both sat there and cried. Just cried, because we've been with Him so long now, and through so many ups and downs. And she wrote me back and she said this, and this will conclude it. It is that tenderness He has for us that takes us down. That's what we can't take. That sweetness and gentleness from someone who makes thunder. Oh. I told her right then, sobbing, I said, I will quote that to the group this weekend. That sweetness and gentleness from the one who makes thunder. It was a remarkable dialogue for two women many decades into the faith. I never satisfy myself in my works. Never. Every book I have ever written was fabulous before I wrote it. Fabulous. And then it starts being reality. But I'll tell you this, and I think you need to know it. I think God esteems when he sees that our hearts are really to please him and he's going, you know what, I think you work really hard at it. And I want you to know, I esteem it. Your God's going to be so good to you. He's going to be so good to you. And when we see him face to face, the sufferings of this present time won't even be worthy to be compared with the glory that he shall reveal in us.